Welcome to another video in the SAP S4Hana Fixed Assets playlist. I have received many requests to explain the difference between intracompany and intercompany asset transfer and demonstrate the process on SAP S4Hana. So today I will start by explaining the difference between intracompany and intercompany and what are the different business cases, and I will also demonstrate on SAP S4HANA 2021 the process of intracompany asset transfer. Then I will create another video in the future to demonstrate the intercompany asset transfer in order to keep the video focused on only one topic. Intracompany asset transfer is used when we transfer the asset values from one asset to another in the same legal entity or the same company code. It's called intracompany asset transfer. While intercompany asset transfer is when we transfer the values of the asset to another asset in a different legal entity or a different company code. So we have two company codes included in the intercompany asset transfer. For the intracompany asset transfer within the same legal entity, the most common business cases is that we created the asset in the wrong asset class. So for example, we created the asset today as machinery, and once we create the asset, we can no longer change the asset class in the fixed asset master data. And then we discovered that we need to create it as furniture, for example. Then in this case, we have to create a new asset under the furniture asset class and then transfer the asset values from the machinery into the furniture as an intra-company asset transfer. And this will include financial entries, of course. The second common business case is the need to split an asset into different assets. So for example, today we created an asset and we posted an asset acquisition for 100,000. And then we discovered that we want to split this asset into two different assets, one for 70,000 and one for 30,000. In this case, we will perform an intra-company asset transfer to move 30,000 from the value of the old asset to a new asset that we will create. These are the most common business cases for intra-company asset transfer, the asset transfer in the same legal entity. For intercompany asset transfer, the transfer of the asset between two different legal entities, I will explain the different cases when I demonstrate the process in another video. For now, let's focus on intra-company asset transfer to transfer the asset in the same legal entity. There are some important points we need to pay attention to when we perform intra-company asset transfer, especially if there is a difference in the depreciation areas between the original asset and the destination asset. Let me show you these notes, and then I will demonstrate the process on SAP S4HANA 2021. We can find very important note on the process in the SAP S4HANA help library. This is a public library available to everyone that explains very good notes on all the processes related to fixed assets. I already shared the link with you before, and I will share it again in the description of this video. So here, if you check on the left, we have all the different topics for asset accounting, and one of the topics is intracompany and intercompany asset transfer. Here you can find the different business cases, the difference between the two processes, and very important notes on configuration and on the process. So if we go to intercompany asset transfer, first here we have the different business cases that I just explained, and then we have some prerequisites, and also we have some important notes on the transfer process itself. So the important notes are, there are two variants of the process. There is the automatic process that can be done in one step, and there is the manual process that can be done in two steps. In the automatic process that's done in one step, we can use the SAP transaction that is created for intracompany asset transfer. When we post this transaction, SAP will post a retirement and an acquisition. So it will post a retirement of the old asset and the acquisition of the new asset in one step. This is the automatic process. The manual process is that we have to do these two steps manually. So we first perform a retirement for the old asset, and then we perform acquisition to the new asset manually, as I showed in the retirement and acquisition videos before, the same process. Today in the demo, I will show you the automatic process. So I will show you the transaction that is created specifically to perform intracompany asset transfer. The second important note is we need to be careful about the difference in the depreciation areas between the original asset and the destination asset. So for example, if the original asset has two depreciation areas and the destination has only one depreciation area, when we do the transfer, only the value that is related to the one depreciation area will be moved, while the other value will go to a loss account. Because now we are saying that the destination asset is only available for the first depreciation area, but the second is not there. So the value that's in the second depreciation area will go to a loss account. I will show you this in the demo today. So I will show you exactly this business case. The second example is the opposite, that in the original asset, we have one depreciation area, while in the destination, we have two depreciation areas. So when we do the transfer, the one depreciation area from the original asset will go to the destination, but the second depreciation area in the destination will be empty. It will have a 0 value. And then if we want to have any values there, we will have to perform separately an acquisition with the value we want to post in this depreciation area. I will also show you this example in the demo today. Now that we understand the notes, I recommend that you go to this page, read all the notes here. Also check the other notes for intercompany asset transfer. They are very useful. Now let's move to our SAP system. And here, as usual, I have my two screens. So on the one on the left, I will perform the transactions. On the one on the right, I will display the fixed asset report. So first, let's start by creating our fixed asset, AS01. Asset class 2000, company code AG20. Okay, description. I might be a little slower today because I can only use one hand. So please give me some time. So I will just insert in description and then go to time dependent and insert the cost center. Depreciation areas. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 depreciation areas. This is the same asset I used in all my demos, and I will save. Our asset number is 34. Now let's go to fixed asset acquisition /n F-90. And I will post the acquisition as of 01/01/2023, the beginning of the year. Our supplier is AG01. Okay, and let's say the value is 10,000. The second line is a debit to an asset, so 70. The S number is 35. And the transaction type is 100. The asset is 34. Yeah, 34. Now let's open here the fixed asset master data, AS03. So this is our asset. Go to asset values. We don't have anything so far. Now I will insert here the amount, and the tax code is V0, and okay. Post. Refresh. Now here we can see the different depreciation areas. So we have US GAAP and we have IFRS. And here we can see the acquisition value of 10,000. Now let's post a retirement. Before we do the transfer of the asset, let's post a retirement. But first, let's post a depreciation. So I will do a real life case. We have an asset that we acquisitioned. Then I will run the depreciation. Then I will run some retirement. And then I will transfer this asset to another asset. So let's run the depreciation first, /n AFAB. And I will run the depreciation until period 3, remove the test run, program, execute in background, okay, immediate, and save. I have already explained all of this before. This is why I'm going faster than usual. If you have any questions, you can check the rest of the playlist or leave me a comment. Now in posted values, you can see we have the depreciation posted, 250 for the first 3 periods. Now let's go and do a retirement. So retirement is /n ABAVN. So this is the retirement by scrapping. Here we have our asset. Now I will retire 50% from this asset. So let's say that the retirement will be with the date of 01/04. So we did depreciation until end of March. Now I will perform partial retirement in the beginning of April. So 01/04, partial retirement, 50%, current year acquisition, and post. Now let's refresh here. And we can see the retirement for 5,000 USD of the asset. So we still have 5,000 remaining. Now let's perform the fixed asset transfer. So for the transfer in the demo today, I will show you the first variant of the process, which is the automatic one. So the one-step process. For this, I will use this transaction. So go to accounting, financial accounting, fixed assets, posting, transfer, and this is the transaction, ABUMN, transfer within company code. Here we have our asset number. We can again insert any ledger we want or accounting principle to do this transfer only for a certain accounting principle. I will leave it empty to perform it to all the accounting principles on the asset, so to US GAAP and IFRS. And then the document date, let's say this will be as of 02/04/2023. And I want to transfer the value to an existing asset or a new asset. So existing asset means we already have an asset that we want to use. New asset means that I will create the asset right now. So once I click on new asset, I can click on master data here and insert the main values here. And I can also go to additional data, and SAP will show me the same screens we use to create a fixed asset. So here we can insert a description. So let's say transfer to time dependent. We can insert a different cost center, depreciation areas. These are the depreciation areas we have. And now, as you see, I am moving an asset from this one to this one with the same depreciation areas. Let's take first the easiest business case. So we are doing an intracompany asset transfer between two assets that have the same depreciation areas. Save or go back. Okay. Now SAP will create the asset once we post the transaction and save. So now I'm transferring 100% of the asset value to this new asset. All right. Now on the right screen, let's go to our new asset 35. Now, as you see here, we have acquiring transfer of current year acquisition. I also want to show you the fixed asset master data. So this is our new asset, and if we check here, we can see capitalized on 01/01/2023. So it brought the capitalization date of the original asset. First acquisition on 02/04/2023. This is the transfer date. And then if we go to origin, we can see the original asset is 34, acquisition on 01/01/2023. So this way we can see the history of the original asset that transferred the value to this one. And if we go to depreciation areas, we have all the values here. Ordinary depreciation start date is 01/01/2023, as if this asset was acquisitioned in 01/01. Now let's go back to asset values and let's check the financial entry. So here we have the transfer, double click, go to environment, document environment, accounting documents. Here we can see two different accounting documents, one posted to each ledger. They are both the same entry but posted to different ledgers. Let's go to 0L. So what is the entry? It is very simple. As you see, we have a credit to the fixed asset reconciliation account, and we have a debit to the accumulated depreciation of the first asset. Then we have a debit of the reconciliation account of the second asset, and a credit to the accumulated depreciation of the second asset. You can see the asset number here. So these two are for 34, these two are for 35. So this is very similar to a retirement posting and an acquisition posting in the same entry. Very easy to understand. Now let's go back. And what I will do now is I am going to reverse this transaction. Then I will do it again, but with an asset that has different depreciation areas. So this way I can show you the complicated business case. So now let's go back and reverse this transfer. To reverse an asset entry, we can go to fixed assets, reverse documents, and the other asset document. Here we have the asset number, okay. So this is the transaction we want to reverse, which is acquiring transfer of current year acquisition. So I will choose it and then click on reverse. So I want to reverse it in the same year, in the same posting date, in the same period, and the reversal reason is wrong posting or wrong period. We can choose anyone. So I will choose wrong posting. And then now it's reversing. This is the financial entry that will be posted. Okay, save. And done. Now if we refresh here, we can see the entry is reversed, and if we check the financial entry, it will be exactly the same but with opposite values. We can also see the entry on the second ledger. If we go to accounting documents, 2L. So as you see, it's exactly the same entry from the reconciliation account of the asset and to the accumulated depreciation of the asset. Now let's go back, and I will perform again a transfer of the asset ending 34, but to a new asset with different depreciation areas. So let's go back to ABUMN. So again, we will perform a transfer of 34 in the same date, 0204. To a new asset, go to master data, additional data. So let's call this transfer 3. Time dependent is cost center is 1000, depreciation area. This time I'm going to cancel, or I'm going to deactivate these depreciation areas. So now I deactivated 32 and 33. So these two for IFRS, they have been deactivated. So now let's see what will happen to the values here. Now, again, before we post anything, let's check here. So this is our asset, the one ending with 34. So the asset now has a value of 4,500 in the book depreciation 01. And if we go to IFRS 32, it also has the same value, 4,500. So there is a value posted in this depreciation area. Now I'm going to transfer the values from this asset to a new asset, but the new asset only has the US GAAP areas. It doesn't have IFRS. What will happen to the values that's in IFRS? This is what we will see. So they will be posted to a loss account. Now let's go back here and let's go back to the transaction. Okay, save. All right, and now let's go here on the right to our new asset. So the new asset now is 36. And now here we can see the acquiring transfer of current year acquisition, 5,000. So this is our transfer. If you look on the left here in the depreciation areas, we only have US GAAP. We don't have IFRS because it has been deactivated. Now if we check the financial entries, so double click here and go to environment, document environment, accounting documents. We have two accounting documents, one to US GAAP and one to IFRS. If we check the one to US GAAP, it's exactly what we explained. So the value of the asset from the reconciliation account and the accumulated depreciation moved from the first asset to the second one. Now if we check the other one for 2L for IFRS, so again go back, environment, document environment, accounting documents, 2L. So this is the IFRS entry. This one is different. So the original asset has been retired. We have a credit to the reconciliation account and a debit to the accumulated depreciation. But the value, the net value, has been posted to a loss asset transaction. This is an account that we assign in configuration. You can see all the configuration steps in the Elite Members Configuration Manual. So here we have the loss asset transaction, and the value has been posted here. Why? Because this depreciation area has been deactivated in the new asset. So now we understand this more complicated business case. So if we have in the original asset and a depreciation area that has values, but this depreciation area is not available in the destination asset, the values that is on this depreciation area will be posted to a loss account. Now let's perform the third business case. So this time I will have one depreciation area in the original asset and two depreciation areas in the destination asset. And let's see what will happen. So for this, I will create a new asset to use as, or maybe we can use this asset. So now we have the asset 36. So 36 has only one depreciation area, right? So let's go back. So here this asset 36, it has a value of 4,500 and value, and it only has one depreciation area, US GAAP. Now I will take this asset and I will transfer it to a new asset that has two depreciation areas, IFRS and US GAAP. So let's go back to our transaction for the asset transfer, ABUMN, and I will insert the new asset. I will perform also the transaction in the same date, 0204. New asset, master data, additional data. So let's call this transfer 4. We have here the cost center, depreciation areas. So here we have the IFRS areas and we have the US GAAP. While in the source, in the original asset, we only have US GAAP. So let's see what will happen. Now let's go back. All right, save. New asset 37 has been created. Okay, now let's display 37. So as you see here on the left, we have the depreciation areas for US GAAP and IFRS. Now, when we are in US GAAP, you can see the acquiring transfer of current year's acquisition of 5,000. But if I go to IFRS, we don't have any values. Why? Because the original asset didn't have the IFRS areas. So there was no value there. So nothing was transferred, which makes sense. Now, if I want to have values in this area, I will have to perform a fixed asset acquisition only to this area. We can go to posting, acquisition, external acquisition, acquisition with automatic offsetting entry. And here we can choose that we want to post to 37. Here we can choose accounting principle IFRS. And we can post an acquisition only to this area so we can have the values here. So now you understand the different business cases. First, we did a transfer from between two assets that have the same depreciation areas. Second, we did a transfer from an asset that has two depreciation areas to another asset that has one depreciation area. And we saw that the depreciation area, the delta depreciation area has been posted to a loss account. And the third case is we did a transfer from an asset that has one depreciation area to another asset that has two depreciation areas, and we saw that the second depreciation area will not have any values because there was nothing sent from the original asset. So now we understand the different cases for intra-company asset transfer. There are some other details that I will not be able to explain in the video here, but you can check the documentation that I shared with you. This is very useful. So go ahead, check it, and if you have any questions, you can always send me a message on LinkedIn or leave me a comment. And also, if you are a platinum member of the channel, you can always contact me on Slack and I will do my best to answer as soon as I can. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any comments. Thank you for watching and I'll see you again soon.